Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. It is mid-August, and you're live with us on the IT Hour. Super excited about today. We are going to talk about the Password Manager. We've got two new faces on the IT Hour, so this is going to be fun. Welcome, everyone that has already joined us. People are dropping in already. So we have Firas, Karroum, and Mathan Chakkravarthy with us. I almost stumbled, but I'm trying it. So, yeah, Rob, is this IT hour invite 1, 2, or 56? We had a little bit of a glitch in the matrix this week as I was trying to set up the next couple of weeks, and the invite decided to put a hold from last May when the series started all the way into next month. So you've just got one long hold on your calendar. So either sorry or you're welcome, depending on whether you wanted to completely block your calendar or not. So sorry, we're working on it. I don't send out those invites. It comes from the platform. So I'm having to work with them, and they are going to try and help fix it, but you may get one or two more. So sorry in advance, everyone. We're working on it. Thank you for your sense of humor. It has given everyone a chance to give me a difficult time about it, which, hey, I'm here for that because I in turn will give everyone else a difficult time back. So that's just part of our thing here, part of what makes everything fun. I see Pavan has said hello in the chat. Yes, Jamie, it's a really long meeting. 17 months and counting, or 18 because it goes into September. So there you go. Not quite, Rob. Get it backwards there, but yes, it'll be a perpetual meeting. So you can just pretend that, sorry, my calendar's blocked. I can't take that meeting. So it can help if you wanted to. So you're welcome, maybe. But there you go. All right. So, usual schedule today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the community. And part of our product updates is going to be Password Manager. So, Firas and Mathan are going to talk about that, and so many cool and exciting things in this latest release of Password Manager. It's mind-blowing. It's so amazing. Can't wait for them to share all that's going on in the product. But first, community. All right, so we've got just a small handful of things going on. Gwine has shared in the script repo a new PowerShell function, get JC admin, audit admins in your organization. So if you want to go through and double check who has been an admin in your org in case you need to update and remove, you can run that PowerShell script. Itamar has asked a quick question about iPad OS and iOS Apple ID blocks. It's actually based off of another script, and they just need some help figuring that out. And Chris Tate has another partner success interview, this time with 96 Firm. And if you're not familiar with that, that is friend of the show, Ricky Jordan's MSP, and we're very excited to have that up. So if you haven't listened yet, go check that out. Very excited to have one of those with Ricky. And short and sweet little update today. Pavan, I'm not sure if we're buffering for everyone. It's a little hard for me to tell. It looks good on my end, but then again, I'm looking at all of us on camera here. So you can also check the live stream and see if it's doing it there and double check. And really, okay, Rob's saying he doesn't have any buffering, so technology is just off and on weird. I occasionally have problems. Mathan was having problems just a minute ago, but we're all good now. So Rob says he has the worst WAN connection of anyone. So if he's not buffering, then it must be a really good day for internets. So with that, actually we're clear of the community updates, a quiet week, and I really just want to leave time for Password Manager. So if both of you would introduce yourselves, your titles, and what you do here at JumpCloud, then we can jump right into what's new with Password Manager.
Thank you, Becky. So I'll go first. Hello, everyone. My name is Mathan. It's my first time here in IT Hour. I also happened to recently join JumpCloud. It's been in exactly a month, and this is my first feature announcement. And we've brought in quite a number of changes, so I'm very excited to be here with you all. That said, just to provide you with a background about myself, previously I worked at Zoho Manage Engine, also taking care of a password manager and privileged access management products there. Here at JumpCloud, I'm part of the authentication and access management product management team. And I'm very excited to be here at IT Hour. And I'll be soon providing you with a demo of all the changes that we have brought here. Quite a number of changes. Although it is mostly subtle functionalities, it's going to make a whole world of difference once you start using our current version of our product manager. So I will let Firas introduce him today. Go ahead, Firas.
Thank you, Mathan. Here I am, Firas, as you mentioned. I've been with JumpCloud for a year now, and I'm working mainly on Password Manager. I'm engineering manager whose my main responsibility is developing the Password Manager platform. And thank you. That's all about me.
Thank you, Firas. So should we begin with the demo of the Password Manager? All good, Becky?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you remember to make a sacrifice to the demo gods before you came on this morning, or are we're just risking it?
I think the tides have been in my favor recently, so I think it will go pretty smoothly.
All right.
Sacrifice.
Let's do it.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, coming up now.
Brilliant. So let me get started. Just a moment. Okay. Let me just get this. All right, so let's get started without any further ado. So the first thing that you will notice as soon as you update to our password manager, and all you have to do to update is to click the restart app button once you receive a notification here, and that will get you updated to the latest version. That's all you have to do. And one of the most notable differences that you will notice as soon as you get into our password manager is just how snappy it is now. It's much more faster. We've reduced the resource usage that was taking up quite a bit of processing time previously, but we have made it much more snappier now. However, we have found a few lags here and there, but we are actively addressing it as we receive more user feedback. So please get it coming. Any suggestions or any feedback that you have where we can improve the speed and the efficiency in which you access our product, please let us know. We will look right into it. That said, let me begin with the notable differences. Firstly, we have the item types neatly organized in the first level menu in the left-hand side. Previously, it was all collated together, which made it much more difficult for users to find the item that they're looking for. So as you add the different item types, let's say a payment card or 2FA or an identity, it will show up here in the left-hand first level menu. That said, we also have provided a multi-select option. So users can now multi-select each item, and they can either delete it altogether in one flow, or they could also move to a different folder. So this was not previously there. and you can also organize folders by the folder type. Sorry, organize the items by the folder type. For instance, if I want to pick up all my e-commerce and travel passwords, all I have to do is pick the relevant folder type. Next, we have also included the ability to link a TOTP to a specific password, let's say Amazon, all here within one intuitive flow. So that's much more easier now for you to link TOTPs to passwords. Once that's done, we've also enhanced our searching, our search ability. So now, let's say I would like to filter all the items within my e-commerce and travel. All I have to do is search for travel, and that pulls out all the all the items as well as the folders here. It's much more comprehensive and much more easier for you to find what you're precisely looking for. That said, we will now move on to our exciting new folder capabilities that we've brought forward. First would be the creation and the management process. So if you are to create a folder now, it's super intuitive, whereby it's all consolidated together in one wizard-like format. For instance, let me now create a test folder for you. All right, after naming my folder and providing it with a description, it brings me to the page where I can add any relevant items. So I could select multiple items at one go. And followed by that, I could either create a personal folder. So the personal folder is restricted to managing individual user items, but it can also be converted into a shared folder later if you would choose to do so. Or you could also create a shared folder from the get-go within the user interface. So if you were to pick shared folder, that will bring you to the next pane where you can add, where you can grant access to both users as well as user groups. So here, let me check for Firas, and his name shows up right here. And I could also choose the access level that he will hold. So you could either be a folder manager, a folder member, or an item manager, and I would create the folder.
Right. Do you want to explain the difference in those level of managers really quickly, like especially the difference between item manager versus folder?
Brilliant question. Thank you for that, Vicky.
Yeah, we also thank you so much for that, because we added a section to explain it.
So if you're wondering what the different levels mean, so if you're wondering what the different levels, access level definitions mean, all you have to do is pull in this drop-down menu here, and it provides you with the access level that you'll be getting. For instance, folder manager, you can make changes to both the user and the item list. Item manager can only view, add, edit, and delete items in the folder, whereas a folder member can only use the items in the folder and does not have a copy or a view permission. Hope that helps. Okay.
Yeah, really quick then. Okay, so if they're just a member, they can view them, but they can't, or they're a member, but they don't have copy or view. They can use the items, but they can't copy or view
them. Correct. They can just use them by autofilling by the extension, but they can't use them. They can't see the password or the item. They can only use them to autofill. So you can just sign in, auto sign in. You can use all the abilities you have in the browser extension, but you can't do anything on the desktop app.
Yep.
Great.
And that feature comes in very handy, especially when you want to manage privileged accounts that are shared between multiple individuals. However, you do not want to grant them excessive access whereby they could know the password and share it with someone else. So in this instance, they have no view of the password, and they can just simply click the autofill within the browser extension to get inside the endpoint.
Yeah, Kelly says that's a very nice least permission feature. So thanks
Thank you,
for
Kelly.
thanks for explaining that. And Nathan has a question. Is there any relationship between Password Manager and the Mobile Protect app for 2FA TOTP? Can they be synced?
Firas, I'll
Not
let you answer.
Okay, not currently. It's what you have. What we have is a 2FA that auto-generated by the desktop app. There might be some plans for the future. It's still in the study. It's not yet confirmed. But currently, we have our own 2FA.
Yeah. So another way to think about that, Nathan, is to JumpCloud Protect will help you protect your JumpCloud console and how you gain access to JumpCloud, and a Password Manager protects all your endpoints. Yes, Jamie. We've noted down that as well. Thank you.
It's kind of a running joke here about the feature requests, because we're constantly telling people put in a feature request for this or that. So, and Nathan is probably one of our highest submitters from the IT hour. So yes, we always would like a feature request. So definitely. Jacob has a good question. Is there an ability to share passwords with users external to your organization, for instance, a contractor?
Currently, no, we don't have that ability. We saw a feature request for that, but we didn't implement it yet.
And then, is there an option to add a custom item or an item that doesn't fit in the 4 categories we see on the screen?
That's also a new feature that we were just discussing today, Mathan and myself. And we're trying to implement new features to be controlled from the admin portal. For example, you need to add a new type instead of password and payment card. You can define that from the admin portal, and it will reflect for your org inside the password manager.
Like secure notes or something like that?
Yeah, so we do have secure notes, but I think the most asked item type is passkeys now, and probably we will be providing that in next year, probably.
And then Mark says time-limited secure sharing password coming?
Not yet.
Kelly says, yes, if enough people send a feature request. All right, and one more, and then I will pause on the question so you can get through the rest of the demo, and I'll just hold them off until you're further through. We struggle with the folder member permission when the extension fails to fill on sites. Is any work being put into enhancing the autofill capabilities?
Thank you so much for that question. So we're providing a new way to enable autofill. It's like first in the industry. It has never been done before, and we're very excited about it. It's coming Q4 this year.
Yes, Josh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be. I think that'll be a little bit later in the demo, right? You'll talk a little bit more about that.
We probably could, but we better save it for the launch, because it's very innovative, a very novel approach that hasn't been addressed by any password manager in the industry, although they've been there for years. We have come up with a really cool way to solve this issue, whereby you could apply that to any type of website despite its structure and the variability in the fields. So it covers a huge range of use case. However, it's super simple to implement. So I think it's best if we could save that for the launch, Becky.
All right. So that means we're going to put it on the calendar that y'all are coming back in Q4 to tell us about this super secret update that I'm excited to hear about.
Rest assured, Josh, you'll be very excited to get to know about this feature. It's amazing.
Yeah. So great question, Josh. Just hold out a little bit longer. All right. So keep going, and then I will hold the rest of the questions for a little bit longer.
Okay. So getting back into the folder section. So I just walked through the addition, managing of folders all within one intuitive user interface. Next, we will also be talking about so once I've created the folder, so let's look at the things that you can do with that folder. One thing that you can notice here is that you could now easily identify the folder manager. Sorry, the full information is not shown here because we've increased the labels, but you can now see the folder manager. Previously, it was not possible. Now you could, let's say you have any sync issues, you could always reach out to the folder manager, or perhaps an item is missing within the folder manager. You don't know who the folder manager is so that you could contact them. That said, you could also share the folder to multiple individuals within one go. So when I click the share button here, it shows a consolidated view of all the people that the folder is shared to. Next, you could also select the users as well as the user group and share it to them as well and apply the access level. Okay. All right. Another interesting feature here would be this small notification bell icon that we've introduced. So now you can receive notification when a folder is shared with you. And this is the same notification bell that you will access to click that restart button to update your app. So once the folder is shared with you, so here Firas just shared a folder with me, shared folder for demo, and I could access that folder right away from here. All right. So that will be it for our folder management capabilities. Next, we have added a few additional subtle functionalities. First, with paired devices. Previously, extensions were shown as a device on its own. What we have done here is that you can now associate a browser extension to a particular device. So this is my Mac, and I could pick either Safari, Edge, Brave, or Opera to configure those browser extensions that might be running on those different browsers here, all within one consolidated view. Next, within the settings page here, we have added two new functionalities. The first one is the keyboard shortcuts feature. Here you can view all the keyboard shortcuts within one go. This was previously only available within the admin console. Now we've brought it here to our desktop app. You can also enable or disable any keyboard shortcuts that you think wouldn't be necessary. And finally, we have an option to download the logs. So previously, this was not present. This was a feature request that we received from quite a number of customers. So we are very happy to provide this. So you could choose to download the logs. And that's about it. I believe we have covered all the functionalities and the subtle changes in the user experience that we've implemented for Password Manager 3.0. So we are ready to take questions now.
Okay, so let's see here. Kelly was asking about management level an admin would have over user items. And one thing Jamie had answered on that was admins can view shared folders in which users have access to them, but they cannot view contents of any shared items. And another thing I know they can do is they can restore from backups. Are there any other things you would want to note that admins can do for user items?
So basically, admins can do nothing for user items. User items are private for every user, and they're stored locally on their devices. That's why it's the most secure password manager in the market, because we don't have anything on the cloud. All your data are secure, and it's all encrypted. However, what access they have is on the folders. So the folders, which is common between multiple users, they can see how many items and who are the users in this folder, and what's their access management, their access level for this folder. And it's only one feature that they can do now is changing the access level between different users in that folder. So if someone is a folder manager, an admin can change him into a folder member. That's all about it. And like you mentioned, they can enable the restore, but even the restore functionality, a user should perform it themselves. So they can provide the backup, but a user should perform the functionality by themselves.
Okay. Is that new to this version?
It's not new, but what we have at JumpCloud is an automated process. That's why it's different. However, for all users, it has to be done manually.
Very good. All right, and another question from Jamie. This is something we were talking about earlier. The current version changed the formatting of the additional info section. Can that be reverted? We heavily use this feature, and now they display all together instead of with any new lines.
We were just discussing that right before this demo, and sorry about that. So we already did the fix, and it was just not included in the last update by mistake, and we will ship it next week, hopefully. So sorry about the inconvenience for that.
Yeah, it's coming. All right, so let's see. Mark wants to know the better way to deploy the JumpCloud Manager app on macOS via software management or VPP coming soon?
It's not coming soon. We are in discussions about it. We still don't have a plan for it. We're discussing to have it deployed with like JumpCloud Agent or through the portal. But at this point, we have the script that's from the admin portal. You can deploy through that script, or you can do it just by downloading the app.
Okay. Aw, and Jamie says, we still love you. All right. Let's see. Josh says, any update on being able to add users to a shared folder from the admin console so we no longer have to be a member of every shared folder?
Yes. That's also a new feature that's being in planning right now. We're adding a lot of, we're giving a lot of management for the admins through the admin portal. Like we said, management of the folders and not of the items. And it's coming, not really soon, but it's coming.
Yeah, just want to add on to that from what Firas said. So we have a lot of quite exciting shared folder management enhancements that we are working on. We are in the discovery process. So if you have any enhancements, like just the one that you mentioned, and we are actively working on that, please let us know here as well. So we can quickly take a look and include them within our design.
Great. And Nathan says, you said everything is stored locally and not in the cloud. However, cloud backups continue to be an option, correct?
Correct. However, like I was saying, it's an encrypted version of the items, and it has a private key that's connected to those backups. So even though we do have cloud backups, but the items themselves are still stored locally. What we do is we have a copy, an encrypted copy of them on the cloud, and can be requested. And you should also have a private key to be accessing these backups. And this private key is connected to your username. So in case a different email is trying to sign up, they will not be able to access those data.
Okay, so if you are getting a new device, you would still be able to access those.
Correct.
Okay.
Because it's connected to your account.
Okay. What if someone is trying to put in your, let's say your company uses your email address as your username, and someone tries to put in your email as the username to get your backup?
Yeah. So during the sign up process, you have to verify. You need to verify by pressing on the email sent to you and able to be accessing that password manager. In case the person who has access to your password, then yeah, they can steal your data, but they already stole your email and everything else. So I believe that's like an extreme case, but usually, no. If they don't have the password and they don't have access to your email, they can do nothing about it.
Yeah, they would have to have multiple pieces before they could get into it. Okay.
Exactly.
Good. All right. And then let's see what else we have. Jamie is making a joke about they have to run, but the rest of the company didn't believe me that I had an 18th month long meeting. Thanks for joining us, Jamie. We appreciate you. Well, Kelly says, did I miss the part where we have an indication of release date? Kelly, this 3.0 is already out. So I don't know if you're talking about some of the new things that we're talking about will be coming out. So if you can clarify in the comments real quick. But the 3.0 features that were just being demoed that we're talking about are actually already out and they have been released.
And if you'd like to update, just open up the notification bell. You'll see a button that says restart the app, and that will help you get updated.
And Brandon is confused when you said everything is stored locally, but it is backed up to the cloud.
Yes. So like I was explaining, all the items are stored locally on each device. However, there's a copy if the company enables. There's a big if here. If the company enables the cloud backups for you, you will have a copy of your data stored on the cloud with an encryption key that your IT admin has access to it. But they can't see your data because they will need a device that they will be like restoring the backup on, and this device will be attached to your account. So in case they are using this backup on a different account, it will not work because the authentication is multi-layered. And if you have any more questions, please just let me know.
Your data is always end-to-end encrypted and it's very safe. And the keyword is also if. Like if your administrator chooses to go with cloud backup, just in case to protect your credentials, you could opt for it.
Yeah. So and a lot of the folks on here are the admins who are setting these. So, you all have the option to set that up for your org or not. But we also have MSPs here who may be maintaining multiple orgs. So let's see. The setting exists to disable for users to export data, but this is set globally. Is there a chance that could become a per user setting?
Yes, we already discussed that. We know some admins would like to have this setting to be able to export to CSV, and we will be looking into it. The first thought was to have this setting enabled by user group, and we're still in discussions. It's still in discovery phase, so hopefully we will have a decision soon.
Great. And Kelly's mentioning it's out and it's coming. Okay, so let's clarify that. The parts we were demoing are out. And Mathan, do you want to say a little bit about what we said was coming, and we'll talk about that more in Q4?
Yeah, sure. So the ones that we discussed, the one that I provided demo of, it's already out. You could proceed to updating your app right away by clicking on the notification bell. So the ones that are coming that we discussed, a few features. So the first one will be the browser extension. We are looking into a way that could autofill in any website despite changes in its structure or the field type. So that's under works, and you can expect that by early Q4. So I'll keep you posted on that. Just to reiterate, it's a very novel approach. Nobody has solved the issue. It is an issue that is persistent amongst every single password manager in the market, and we'll be the first one to solve that. So very excited for that. Next one would be shared folder enhancements. So that is quite a bit down in the line. We are starting our discovery process, getting to know about all the use cases that we could solve at one shot. So that's our goal. So we are currently in the discovery phase where we are drafting all the designs for it. So if you have any other suggestions related to shared folders, please let us know. And the others that were so those are the two notable features that we are actively pursuing. And on the side, we also have quite a bit of minor recommendations as well as feature additions that were brought forth. So for one of them would be let's say, the ability to export at a user level instead of globally. So that's one that we are working on as well. So I
Yeah,
hope that
and
covers it. The two prominent features. So the others all, it's further down the line.
awesome. And of course, y'all can always reach out on Slack or via email to get us those additional use cases, or the broken record is feature request.
Yeah.
And you
And
already know how to do that.
if you're interested to join us and be part of the discovery process as we are working towards the shared folder management enhancements, please let us know. Just drop the email and we will reach out to you right away.
Yeah, our emails are easy. First name, last name at JumpCloud. But if you ever forget those, you can always email community@jumpcloud.com, and I can just make sure that it gets on to the right people. So that's a fairly easy one to remember. And Mark has a comment. If someone shared a password to another user, but they become offboarded, will that password share break? That's a good question, Mark.
Yeah. So it depends on the management system you provided in your folder. So like we were discussing, like we were showing, once you create a folder, you can set access level to different users. And this access level, for example, one will be a folder manager, the one who initially shared the item, and the other person might be a folder member, which has the item in their folder. What can be done at this stage is the IT admin can change the access level of this remained user to a folder manager, and then the folder manager can add new users or add items to that folder. What's coming soon is the IT admin will be able to add new users to that folder that can be like a folder manager. But at this point, what can be done is just changing the access level from the admin portal, and it's really easy, one click.
Does that affect any of the personal folders the person had, or this is only for shared folders? Because all that personal stuff will just go away.
Yeah, it's only for the specific shared folder that was shared with this user. And it will not affect any other shared folder or not their personal folder as well. It's per folder.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions, y'all? You can go ahead and put them in the chat while we're talking here. We've got about 20 minutes left. So what I will do is I will move on to the IT news. We've got a lot of interesting things going on, and both of you are welcome to comment or add your input while I'm reading these. We read them, a little bit of the article. It's usually something interesting going on somewhere in the IT or security realm. The people in the chat usually give their own take, maybe a little snarky. I'm just saying, and we'll talk about those a little bit. They add their comments in the chat. You're welcome to jump in and add your take as well. And I'm in another document when I do that, but I'll come back and check the comments and stuff. And if we have more questions about Password Manager, then we'll flip back over to those. There's a lot going on in the news. At first, I didn't think there was anything, and then they just all jumped out at once. So one thing, if you've heard about net neutrality in the past, ISPs are apparently worried that killing net neutrality rules, the FCC net neutrality rules, will come back to haunt them. Apparently, telcos want it both ways, urging SCOTUS to block federal rules and state laws. Right now, ISPs have asked the Supreme Court to strike down a New York law that requires broadband providers to offer $15 per month service to people with low incomes. On Monday, a Supreme Court petition challenging the state law was filed by 6 trade groups representing the cable, telecom, mobile, and satellite industries. Although ISPs were recently able to block the FCC's net neutrality rules, this week's petition shows the firms are worried about states stepping into the regulatory vacuum with various kinds of laws targeting broadband prices and practices. A broadband industry victory over federal regulation could bolster the authority of New York and other states to regulate broadband. To prevent that, ISPs said the Supreme Court should strike down both the New York law and the FCC's broadband regulation, although the rulings would have to be made in 2 different cases. I guess I'm looking through the rest of the stuff here because ISPs are worried that if they succeed in killing the FCC regulation, they will be subject to many state laws like New York's. This is a quote. The upshot of the Sixth Circuit and Second Circuit decisions is that each state can now do what the FCC cannot: subject an interstate information service to common carrier regulation, including state regulation, the lobby groups said. This will be to the detriment of providers, consumers, and the nation, they claimed, because I guess it will supposedly, they're worried about them having to offer service below their cost. Rob perked up his ears. Did someone say snark? What really first jumps out at me and bothers me is the fact that they're pushing back on offering affordable broadband to low-income people. And this bill in New York is specifically called broadband affordability. And they're wanting to push back on this in New York and then other places. So they're wanting the Supreme Court to make a ruling not only on, they've made a ruling around, they are making a ruling around federal stuff, but around states and what rules they can make. So they're playing both sides of both the federal and states' rights. And there are big arguments in the U.S. around back and forth around states' rights. And so it just is funny that they think they may have shot themselves in the foot by wanting to change this. But my biggest concern is around affordability and low-income folks who, we've gotten so dependent upon net access that, now low-income families, it's something they are beginning to need when they have kids in school who need to do homework and research and sometimes even searching for jobs. People need internet access. It's almost becoming a basic need, like a basic utility that everyone needs. And these companies are putting profit over people again, just like many of these larger companies do. And Kelly is saying, oh yeah, it's terrible that I have a single high-speed internet option that can charge whatever they want for the privilege of paying them. So yeah, that happens in a lot of areas. I know that there have been places I have lived in where there's one option, and if I'm lucky, two, and it's either cable or phone company, and they each have a high-speed internet option. So, and one of them might have good quality and one of them might not. So you really only have one option when it comes down to it. Where I live now, it's a high-tech area, so I'm lucky that I have multiple options, but not everyone does. And in other parts of this area where it's more rural, you don't have those options. Like where my parents live, they don't have those options at all. I've talked about this before on the show where they're like a mile away from the end of fiber optic stuff. So they can't get the high speed things, which I gripe to them every time I go visit them that their internet isn't fast enough. But that's just a joke between us because I gripe about stuff like that anyway. But for low income people, I mean, this is really critical. And for rural people who don't have access to high speed broadband at all. And there are a lot of initiatives that have taken place with the government grants to get high-speed broadband in rural areas of states. North Carolina has gotten grants. Missouri has gotten grants. I think Georgia and Alabama and others, I'd have to look up which states have gotten them, but several have. Places that have big rural populations have gotten these large grants. Yeah, Kelly, there's been discussions for ages that ISPs should be treated the same as utilities like water and power. And after all that time sending kids to school via Zoom, I'm surprised it hasn't happened now. Me too. I mean, it should have happened because of how much we're now reliant on internet as basic functionality for so many things. And Rob says Comcast in my area, after literal decades of having them, wanted $79 a month for 200 meg or $95 for 1200 meg for a year, then $150 a month normal and $112 for 200. The 200 is only 10 up. I need at least 20, but did not need gigabit. So jump to T-Mobile. And Brandon saying, same issue in Canada. Providers are more than happy to take money and grants, but will do everything they can to kill competition. Yeah, same thing here. They will take the grants and just do the bare minimum. And there should be way more accountability for that. But then you do have others. There are smaller companies here that are actually trying to do good with what they have. It's those larger companies that are trying to kill off those smaller ones that are trying to do the most good with limited money and resources. All right. DOJ, Department of Justice, for those of you who don't know, is considering breaking up Google after a monopoly ruling. So the U.S. Department of Justice is considering several different options after a federal judge ruled last week that Google has an illegal monopoly over internet search. Quelle surprise. The most drastic option, according to a report from Bloomberg, would include breaking up the company, though other options would include forcing Google to share data with its rivals or paying large fines. The Bloomberg report cites people with knowledge of the deliberations and notes that there are many different things being considered. But the New York Times also released a report late Tuesday confirming that officials are thinking about breaking up Google, something that would be exceptional given the fact that U.S. government tried and failed to do the same thing with Microsoft over 20 years ago. So discussions are being held between officials and the state attorneys general that help bring the antitrust case against Google. So, I think we've heard this before, no telling if that's actually going to happen, but I guess they're finally getting tired of Google search and everything. How do you separate the browser user collection from the search user collection and from the ad user collection? Yeah, from the AI summaries of everything and the AI scraping of everything. I mean, all of it. So I don't know, but the DOJ moves slowly. So it may be another couple of years before any of this is actually figured out. Here's something interesting. California state IDs can now be stored in Apple Wallet and Google Wallet. But California is only the latest state to make its driver's license mobile. They announced that Apple Wallet and Google Wallet will be adding support for California driver's licenses and state IDs. But I believe Arizona was the first state to make add driver's licenses to Apple Wallet in 2022. And Maryland, Colorado, Georgia, and Ohio have also adopted support for mobile identification. So it's just interesting that they are starting to add these to Wallet and give you some secure ways of carrying your ID. I don't know how this works with going to the airport to board a plane or enter some government facilities, which will start requiring real ID in 2025. But I suppose that might be kind of nice to not have to carry your wallet into certain places where you need to show your ID. if places will accept them. We're still discussing internet speeds in the chat here and pricing. So yeah, that is definitely, I mean, we could go on all day about internet access pricing and things like that. Oh, well, let's go back to kind of a part of that, and mobile and internet carriers. T-Mobile has been fined $60 million for failing to stop data breaches. This is the largest penalty that the CFI US has ever issued. So they've been fined for failing to both report and stop data breaches. It was levied by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. and represents the largest such financial penalty the organization has ever issued. T-Mobile is owned by Deutsche Telekom, based in Germany. And so that's why the Foreign Investment Committee got involved. So this penalty has their origins in the terms of a 2020 deal in which T-Mobile purchased Sprint. And the committee put some conditions on the purchase, including some related to protecting consumer data. And the committee found that T-Mobile didn't comply with these conditions by failing to secure data and then by failing to report unauthorized access to this data. I feel like we just can't really trust anyone to hold our data safe. I just got a letter from a healthcare company that I didn't even know was holding my data. Like, they must be a processor of one of my other like insurance or healthcare companies. And the breach happened in February. They didn't discover it until March. They didn't inform other. They said they didn't get back cleaned up data and blah, blah, blah in their letter, which the way it read, it was like, why are you disclosing it in this way? And what are you trying to say? Then they started disclosing it to like their people in the chain in June. I didn't get my disclosure until end of July. Well, dated into July. I didn't get it till August. So my information was out there 6-7 months, and they just gave me a really vague disclosure and didn't even tell me what of my information was accessed. Your information may have been accessed and it may have included this stuff. No, I want to know exactly what was taken and why you waited 7 months to tell me. And I think we need to hold them more accountable on these things for these generic disclosures. It's like, no, you need to actually say what, so I can take precautions as to what piece of my information. Then they're like, oh, we'll give you, a few months of credit monitoring. Well, I still have mine blocked because of the Experian breach now a couple years ago. So yeah, Brandon, you're right. If they say may, assume it was all taken. And you're right, but I still want them to tell me in more explicit detail what it was, instead of just this very insignificant information. And Kelly, exactly. The evolution of breaches, getting a random letter and having to contact the company to find out what data they actually had. That's what I almost threw away this letter because it just looked like it was pre-sorted mail. It was some company's name I'd never even heard of. So I thought, oh, this is probably just spam, random spam mail. But it turns out it was important and I needed to know. But I just went ahead and opened it because I was curious. Otherwise, I would have thrown it away and not even known what was going on. And that's not good either. There's a lot more in the headlines. I'm not actually going to go through and read all of them, but I'll give you the headlines because these are going to go in show notes. And I really think y'all should go read some of these. MIT has delivered a database containing 700 plus risks associated with AI. They're calling it the AI Risk Repository. It has 3 parts. The AI Risk Database, which captures, like right now, I think it's 777 risks extracted from 43 existing frameworks. The causal taxonomy of AI risks, which classifies how, when, and why the risks occur, and the domain taxonomy of AI risks, which classify the risks into 7 domains and 23 subdomains. So I will link to the CSO online article and then also link to the AI risk repository because I just found that really interesting. And with all the different discussions we have about AI, I think y'all might find that interesting. And then another thing on AI, from Computer World, researchers are tackling AI fact-checking failures with new LLM training techniques. They're addressing the problems of LLM bias, misleading information, and outright contradiction. But I found it interesting that on some of the training, they were using the LLMs to fact-check themselves. So keep an eye on that. And a new ransomware gang has deployed new malware to kill security software. They're deploying malware to disable endpoint detection and response security software in bring your own vulnerable driver attacks. So it's named EDR Kill Shifter. Sophos security researchers named it that during a May 2024 ransomware investigation. So yeah, that one's important to go check out. And then Microsoft has disabled BitLocker security fix, advises manual mitigation. Russian who sold 300,000 stolen credentials gets 40 months in prison. GitHub Actions artifacts found leaking auth tokens in popular projects. And Microsoft retires Windows updates, causing a bunch of errors. It's got a long number attached to it. There's a lot going on out there, but our friends from CISA are still really quiet during the month of August. So maybe toward the end of the month, we'll expect a bunch from them. Brandon, new phishing scam idea. Send random letters and ask verifying questions before providing more breach information. Don't give them ideas, Brandon. Stop it. All right. We're just at about time. I will put all of those links to those different articles in the show notes because there's a lot going on out there, but I really think the AI repository is really interesting and you should go check that out. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining me today. Lots of great stuff from Password Manager, and I can't wait for all the other stuff coming next quarter too, which is only a month and a half away. So better get busy. Everyone, thanks for attending the IT Hour today. We will see you again next week. The week after that is the holiday weekend for Labor Day in the US, which means on the 30th, we will not have an episode just because everybody's going to be taking off for the weekend anyway. But with that, have a great weekend. Go have some fun while it's still technically summertime. And see y'all next week. Take care, everyone.